No, go ahead. We'll just get it started.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Molly the Kush RN, and you've reached Conversations with Kush. We are live on location tonight at House of Oilworx, and we are joined by Jude, the Ganjier dude.
Hello, how you doing?
Thank you for being here, Jude. Well, I mean, you kind of belong to the shop, right?
That's pretty much it. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for coming down.
Yeah. Jude is a very dynamic person. He's been in cannabis for quite some time. He has recently graduated from the Ganjier program in May, so big ups to that. That's a huge undertaking, and the test is very rigorous. He's also developed this beautiful grow community that you will see when the show is live here in Anoka. And it is hosted by House of Oilworx every other Wednesday, Jude?
Currently, every other Wednesday.
Okay, so give us a rundown. Tell us about your community, or
Yeah, absolutely. The Anoka area home growers get together at House of Oilworks in downtown Anoka on the first and third Wednesdays of the month. We have been gathering and discussing the cultivation of cannabis since about November of last year. And the community has steadily grown and shifted a little bit in terms of that since its inception. It's a lot of local folks who are coming together to discuss their successes in growing, their challenges in growing, and to generally share information and leapfrog off of one another. We all have different growing experiences, different levels of experience in growing, and it's a community where we share that knowledge and ultimately use that to get better end results in our cannabis, because ultimately that's what we're after, right? Is growing the best weed we possibly can.
For sure. It's such a beautiful thing that people are able to grow their own medicine now, and this is a wonderful outlet for people to come in and share things, as you said, and just really gather in community. I saw that you have the tent over there. Are you also offering classes or supplies for people if they want to pick that up?
Yeah, we offer AC Infinity equipment in the shop, and we have a curated selection of genetics from Humboldt Seed Company and High End Genetics Minnesota. Those are the two that we carry at present. Actually, we also have Doc Dab seeds.
Okay.
So we do have
some good ones.
They are actually very good. Yeah, 3 seed lines make that.
Well, I love that you're supporting Minnesota companies too, with the high end and with Doc Dabs, and I'm sure Humboldt seeds are the best, so or close to it. So yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, absolutely.
Talk a little bit more about the Ganjier program and how that kind of segued into the community here.
Sure. The Ganjier program overall is a cannabis sommelier program, and ultimately it's teaching you how to accurately assess cannabis or cannabis products to get them into the hands of a client or a consumer. And really what you are after there is to match the best product for the client for what they're trying to achieve.
Excellent.
So yeah, and it's such an important thing. It dovetailed really nicely into the way that we just operate our business naturally. When I saw the curriculum for the client interaction protocol, it was oddly familiar already, because it's the process we used from day one in our shop, in our retail location. It was assessing the client's wants and needs, their prior experience, determining what they're comfortable with in terms of how they consume that product, and ultimately recommending a product that will get them the most bang for their buck, right?
Gotcha.
And the what's the word I'm looking for? It is the minimum effective dose.
Okay.
That's really what I drive for whenever I work with clients in the shop. And as part of the Ganjier program, that is also very, very important to the whole thing, is finding that minimum effective dose getting it in a way that the client is comfortable with, and it's something that addresses their need in particular inside of the budget that they're willing to spend.
Super in line with cannabis nursing, right?
Very much so. Very much so.
We always would start people out low and slow. And so, and always thinking about harm reduction. So to have you, you out in the community thinking of those things too, I really appreciate that, because I think that's what people need as they're coming in, especially if they're new to it, brand new to cannabis, or they've had a bad experience before. You always kind of want to piece that out and figure that part out. So thank you for doing that work. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. If you're going to be putting these things into yourself, you have to know what they are. You have to know what they're not. You have to know what they can do and what they can't.
Absolutely.
And it's always been that cornerstone of our operation to do that. So,
yeah.
And the Gan Program is such a natural fit to that, and it just really it elevated the way that I consume cannabis.
Okay.
Because it made me look at it in a different way.
Okay.
It wasn't.
How so?
It wasn't just a drug. It wasn't just a thing in a jar or in a bag that was going to get me wrecked. It was something that was an experience. It's something that is experiential in nature from the very get-go. You pop that jar open and those aromas hit you, whether it's across the table or if it's up close. You're getting that entire volatile profile that is just hitting you, and it's activating already with those aromas and those terpenes and those things. And you look into the jar and you see these nugs that are just frosted, just covered in trichome and trichome heads. And it's all sticking together, and you touch it and it's almost greasy, and it's that's always the best, whenever it's almost just greasy versus sticky.
Yeah.
And then you grind it and you can't get it out of your grinder,
and it's a ball.
It's so yes, because it is absolutely just resinous goo.
Yeah.
You look at its appearance and you can see that the trichomes are fully covered. The bud structure is loose, or it's tight, or it's typical. Or atypical. Then you judge its flavor. Does the flavor match with the aromas that are coming off of that cannabis? Is it true to having a name like Super Lemon Haze? Is this really lemony? Can I smell that lemon on there? If I can't, then I'm going to question whether that genetics is what it says it is. But yeah, then you also judge or not necessarily judge, but you really take note of the effect of that product as well, or of that cannabis. And you take notes on all of these things, and it's really just a qualitative analysis of what's going on. It's not a judgment call on anything so much as it is, these are the innate qualities of this thing.
Exactly.
Yep. And that's really all it is. The systematic assessment protocol is what it's called. That's what I use to assess flower and concentrate. And I certified, like you said, in May of this past year, on May 17th. I passed that exam after a solid year of rigorous study.
Right.
And I did all of the online training and took 10 exams from that. From there, I flew out to Eureka, California, and drove down the 101 into the mountains to the Ganjier campus, where I stayed for 2 days and learned from the instructors on campus with hands-on instruction. So learning how to do this, bless you.
Thank you.
Learning how to do this assessment protocol, learning how to do the client interaction protocol, learning all of the history, the science, a multitude of things you have to learn in order to be a ganjier, or very akin to being a sommelier. That if you are going to do that program, you go through a very rigorous training program, and it teaches you the same thing: your appearance, your aroma, your flavor, your effect.
Right.
And so it's very much like that. But anyway, I digress. So I flew out to Humboldt, California, and stayed on campus and did my live training back in September of last year. And then I just trained my palate from that point forward. So it was consuming more cannabis. That was my homework. So
That's tough.
right, I was like, no, I can't mow the lawn right now. I'm doing
Right.
homework.
Did you
um,
get a side eye?
I did multiple times,
Mm.
and there are times too when I get, can we just smoke this and not assess it? I'm like, yeah, totally. That one I hear quite often. Like, do we have to tear this one apart, or can we just roll it? We'll just roll it. But yeah, so the program itself is very rigorous.
Yeah,
It's very well done.
I agree.
And
I give a lot of credit to the people that go through that program and complete all of that testing and are able to kind of consult people in what is the medicine where they might want to start.
awesome.
So yeah. The only trouble I have with it is that, like, I think sometimes we miss out on the consumables, right? Or the topicals and things of that nature. So that's a
Yeah,
little tough for me, but it's definitely a connoisseur um, thing. And I think it's also, again, if you can dial into those terpenes, that's usually where the medicine is for people.
definitely,
And so I think there's a leg up on that too. So
for sure.
I've heard that when like people do that bag pop or open that jar for the first time and they take that nice sniff and get that aroma, they can instantly tell like, yeah, that's my medicine, or it could be my medicine. Like, it smells good. Or they're like, nope, that one's not going to work for me. So, I mean, that's how people must have done it 2,000 years ago, or however long it was that people started smoking
Oh,
cannabis. So,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you're right. You know, there's a couple of sayings there. The nose knows, right? The
hmm
nose will knows, and if it smells good to you, you probably want to consume it, and
exactly.
it's probably gonna do the things you want it to do. You know, the other piece of that is there was another saying I was thinking of, and now I can't think of it, but
Mm.
we were discussing part of it
Yeah.
anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, the Ganji program, very rigorous, very intense. And they do have a level 1 program.
Okay.
It is a Ganjier product specialist, so it's
Okay.
not nearly as rigorous. You have about 10 total hours of online training, and then 10 exams, and then you have an application where you learn how to do this assessment protocol at not quite at the same depth, but you get an application called the PAL, and you can log all of your assessments into that. So it's a personal assessment log,
Okay.
is what it's known as. That's why it's called the PAL. And so that's a new addition to the Ganji program this year, where it is now a level 1. So much like sommelier or cigar aficionado, or cicerone for beer,
Right.
Pommelier for ciders. Each one of those has a level 1 to their program, and so this is just the natural progression in Ganjier, is to have this level 1 program as an entry level, get people get their whet their appetite, so to speak,
Would the
with it.
would that be something like maybe a shop would want to send their bud tenders through
Most
then, or
definitely.
okay.
That is something that would be very beneficial in that arena in particular, because
Okay.
it's going to help bud tenders and your point of contact with your clients,
Right.
right? Your bud tenders are your point of contact with clients.
Right.
And if they can help get your clients into a better overall situation by better product selection, I mean, that's going to be,
They're going to
and
keep coming
they're going to
back.
keep coming back,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, they're going to know where to get their medicine. And I think
Exactly.
one of the things from a retail standpoint that's going to be really important is having well-educated bud tenders.
Yeah.
Hopefully, having someone with a license that's on site that can help people with medical products.
Yeah.
And then also just having like a welcoming space for people to come in where there's no judgment,
Yeah.
and they can kind of help people piece through that overwhelming sea of products that they're going to have to choose from, right? And
Exactly.
like, where's a good place to start? I want to see bud tenders being able to do more of those things versus just selling them whatever they've tried that like they like,
Yeah.
or whatever is the most expensive product. I think those are really important things for the retail standpoint. So
Yeah, absolutely. Because often in retail, what will happen is you will end up pushing most popular product or the one that has the highest margin,
Right.
because that's what's driving the commerce behind the shop.
Sure.
And I mean, yeah, for us, that didn't ever fit. Like it
Yeah.
was, it was like,
Right.
no, I don't want to do that. I'd rather you get something that's going to be efficacious.
Right. It wasn't in your ethos.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, I mean, we could have done that. We could have said, okay, yeah, instead of a topical for you, I'd rather you, get these edibles over here because my price point is, my profit margin is so much better on that than it is on this. Like, I'll steer you over there. No way. Kind of want to do that. Like,
Sure.
I want to make sure that this person that's concerned about having THC in their system because they work for the Department of Transportation or they have some other requirement where they cannot consume THC. I would much rather get them a topical to help them work through their issues that they have with muscle soreness or
Right.
with nerve pain in a particular area where it's not going to enter their bloodstream, and it is highly unlikely to make them fail a test.
Sure.
I mean, there's so much that goes into it, and helping clients make good decisions.
Yeah, that's going to be the other part of it too, is that, I think people, especially brand new to cannabis, aren't necessarily going to want to smoke.
Yep.
I think that they are going to want to try something that's, a 1 milligram Sunny from Mary and Jane, or, they just want to ease into it, because a lot of people are not going to want to feel high.
Correct.
And there's many other cannabinoids that they can choose from that will, give that effect of non-euphoria, and still give efficacy.
Correct. There's a myriad of cannabinoids, and yeah, low and slow is always the way to go.
Yep.
And we talk about titration quite often when we have new products hit the shelves. It's like, okay, what is this when it's new formulations?
Right.
It's like, what does this actually mean? If this is if this edible has 5 milligrams of THC per piece, 10 milligrams of CBD, and 5 milligrams of CBN, how do we titrate that down for somebody that doesn't want to have that deep of an experience?
Yeah.
The general public is not necessarily they do not have the same tolerance level, let's say, as the typical cannabis consumer.
Exactly.
Folks like you and I, our tolerance levels are a little bit up there, and to put it mildly, I like
yours
the
is
amount
bigger
of
than mine.
laughter that happened with that. But yeah, our tolerance levels are probably way more elevated than the typical person on the street.
Right, right.
And that 5 milligram dosage that we're starting with in Minnesota, I often recommend people to cut that in half. Usually I start them with a half of a gummy or
Perfect.
a half of a piece of chocolate, or titrate with a beverage, pour it into a cup, and don't slam the whole can.
Right.
That's it's gonna hit you way too hard, way too fast.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a negative experience potentially, and you're not gonna want to use anything else else than and there's so many good things about the plant and what it can do and what it can help with. Like we were talking about terpenes earlier, and how the smell is going to do X or Y, or it smells good and I want that. So, and we said the nose knows, but for me, there's another. I remembered the saying.
Excellent. What is it?
If THC is the gas in the vehicle, the terpenes are at the steering wheel.
Oh,
and
for
the
sure.
terpenes are what are taking you on that adventure.
Yeah.
The THC might get you there real fast, but those terpenes are really what's going to drive.
It's where you dial in. It's where you dial in to what you really need.
Exactly. When I have really earthy cultivars, where I have those particular strains that have that heavy, wet tree bark almost smell to them, and a little bit of pine and a little bit of floral, and a lot of lemon, and then a lot of sweet and earth to them, that sets me just perfect. Right,
Yeah.
like I will just melt, and that's the typical limonene, myrcene, and beta carotene.
Nice.
Those are the three that I enjoy quite frequently. Those are the ones that I look for, and the ones that speak to me the most. Terpinolene is another.
Is there a strain that captures all of those three? Because I feel like limonene is a little bit more uplifting, where beta carotene and myrcene are more kind of low and slow. So
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And, that limonene gives you a little bit of an uplift, and it also helps to regulate anxiety.
Okay.
right? Often whenever you go into a dentist office, you're going to smell citrus.
Okay.
And it's a weird thing, and I never really thought about it until someone said
Hmm.
it, and I was like, no way. And I went to my dentist, and I was like, it does smell like oranges in here. Because
I've
people
never
are
noticed
anxietal
that.
about going to the dentist oftentimes.
Okay.
And so that's, that's a way for them to help their clients get through that.
For sure.
Is that they'll have, like a bergamot or something.
Yeah. We actually use quite a bit of aromatherapy in labor and delivery when we have laboring moms with lavender, citrus, so different things, that we use in different situations. So yeah, I appreciate that reminder that, just the things that we smell can be, medicine also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
Was there any questions from the audience at all? Any questions from the audience at all? Joni?
Hey, Molly, turn your mic towards you.
Any questions from you guys at all?
What's your favorite cannabis strain?
What's my favorite cannabis strain? Oh, there's so many. They're all my favorite. I actually really like Jack Herrera. Jamie probably saw me smell this candle like right before we started, like. So yeah, that's a really good one. Gary Payton. I like kind of the old OG ones. Gary Payton is nice. What's yours, Jude?
Any OG cultivar
Yeah.
is going to set me up pretty nicely.
Mhm.
I really enjoy the OG cultivars as of late. And Jack Herrera is one of my favorite cultivars of all time. Trainwreck is another really solid cultivar for me.
It's hard to get those real pure ones, I feel like, nowadays. I feel like we have a lot of
lights, like
exactly
good Northern Lights or a really good skunk, like an old school just skunk. That would be super nice, but that all got bred out so we could hide it indoors and hide it from law enforcement.
Right.
And all of those terpene profiles went away. And because of it having to go underground, and that's, it makes it difficult now to find them. But.
I have some favorites of growers that are local. My friend Bob has a strain called, he grows pistachio. It's not a new.
Bob's pistachio is pretty amazing.
It's incredible. And I won't stop bothering him for it. And also a couple of growers that have done growing for the Michigan market and the medical market. They have some really great strains, Frosted Lakes, that I really love as well. So I appreciate knowing my grower. So I love this community, and this is why we're here, right? Because as a cannabis nurse too, that's really important for us. When we recommend people picking up their products, we always want them to know their grower if possible, know where their cannabis is sourced from, and have testing on it too. Because again, like Jude said, that's where we know if the medicine is there that they're gonna need. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The importance of testing it's super important, right?
It is.
To know, especially about your mycogens, your heavy metals, your pesticide levels. On flower product, it's not going to be as concentrated. Whenever you get down into doing things like solventless or even solvent-based concentrates, you're concentrating all of that stuff. And if it has a bunch of pesticide on it, you're concentrating that pesticide, and then you're going to smoke it. That's not the greatest thing ever. Folks will use neem oil as part of their IPM, as part of their pest management, and neem is great. Just don't use it whenever you get into flower, or at least not anytime near when you're going to harvest.
Right.
Because that can really have a negative impact on your end result and potentially make you very sick. So yeah, it's interesting that testing sort of gets overlooked, and it's a symptom of prohibition for 90 years. Almost 100 years of prohibition has really shattered how cannabis could have evolved over that century.
Yeah.
Alcohol was only prohibited for 20 years, and it's been not prohibited now for 80. So they've had 80 years of coming back, and we still talk about alcohol at the state legislature every year.
Exactly.
We still talk about cannabis next year.
Yeah.
It's not over, and we really have to be able to preserve our inalienable right to grow this
For sure.
plant.
Yeah.
It is so important that we protect that and we preserve it, and in my opinion, we enhance it.
Yeah.
The things that we would need are we need to enhance it.
One of the great things was the Caregivers Program. I think that allowed for someone to give their ability to grow their plants to someone else that could grow for them. And whether they like lived in an apartment or they didn't have the financial means to do it or they didn't have the space or whatever it was. And I think that was a really beautiful thing that happened. So I'm grateful for that.
Definitely, most definitely.
I have a question for the group. Tell me what's been the most beneficial part about the grow community for you guys? Does anyone want to share?
Being able to talk about it finally. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Being able to talk about it with somebody finally.
Okay.
We'll be like, oh, yeah, I garden too.
Yeah, exactly.
Not having to call them tomato plants.
Oh, tomato plants. I need some special nutrients for my tomatoes.
Just all the stress that all of a sudden just got released.
Yeah. Seriously.
Mm. Had you already been growing and
No,
this was kind of an enhancer? I am not. So this is all brand new for you guys too. Joan, is this brand new for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so. And I haven't been to the dispensary in months, and that's been really nice. And I can't believe the difference between the med program
right.
and what I've grown myself, and it's night and day.
That's awesome, Joan.
The ditch weed are gone.
Yeah, right. Irradiated weed.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is it better?
Because why do you think, Jude?
Well, if you think about it like tomatoes, using tomatoes as a perfect example, you can go to the grocery store, you can go to Cub Foods, you can go anywhere and you can buy tomatoes off the shelf, right? And it's a tomato for all intents and purposes. It's red and it's like a seed-filled loogie in the middle. I don't like tomatoes that much, but not raw ones anyway. But you cut it open and it kind of juices and it sort of tastes like one, right? But you go to somebody's house who grows heirloom tomatoes and they do it very well.
Or
It's
from
their
the farmer's
craft.
market.
Yep, or from the farmer's market, right? Where they have it, where they have their process dialed in to give you the absolute best heirloom tomatoes that you have ever had. Like that is their goal. That's the biggest difference between commodity cannabis and craft cannabis, right? So that's the differentiating factor for me. Is that commodity cannabis is grown at scale. They're looking for a particular weight that comes out of a 2 foot by 2 foot area or a particular square, right? I mean, because it's a commodity crop for them.
Right.
They're looking for how much cash can I extract out of this in the smallest footprint possible, and that's fine. I mean, I drink a Budweiser whenever it's hot out in the summertime. If there's no other beer, too, right? I mean,
isn't she a new grower though? Like, because what you're describing to me would be like a craft grower, like someone who really knows what they're doing. She's got it right away. That must be.
Definitely. I mean,
that's all on you, right?
Thank goodness to the community, right?
Absolutely. But it comes down to also with heirloom tomatoes, they're naturally going to be a better product overall to start with. And so that's where it really gives you a leg up because you're growing something that is going to be a more solid product genetically overall than let's say the commodity tomatoes available at the grocery store. So,
what were some of the challenges you guys faced with your first grow?
Getting the humidity right. I started in January, I think, so it was buy one humidifier and then buy two humidifiers.
Yeah.
Getting that all dialed in was my biggest challenge.
Sure. Do you grow just indoor plants, Joan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I got an AC Infinity 3x3.
Okay.
From June.
Okay, great. Do any of you, it sounded like maybe you are growing outdoor?
We've dabbled in the outdoors, but mostly it's indoors.
Okay. What have been some challenges for you?
For us, us, it's been sometimes we work out of state, so it's been getting our grow to take care of itself for a week or two at a time. So then it's been incorporating 55-gallon drums of water and that don't leak all over the basement, and sometimes that was annoying.
Yeah.
It's better now. It's good now.
Water.
Yeah. For a long time in the very beginning, it was like, all right, we're mopping up the basement again.
Yeah.
I would never sell this house.
Right.
That's why I'm using the carpet automate.
Yeah. No more carpet. All concrete. But
Awesome.
yeah, it's just, it is a labor of love, but sometimes other things have to go on. It's like, well, the cat can go to a kitty cat hotel. I can't just bring my plants to somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like, come over and water. But yeah.
Are you growing in a tent similar to what's offered here in the store?
Oh yeah, it's a similar brand.
Okay.
It's like a 4x8, and then there's a 4x4 and a 2x2.
On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being like completely easy, 10 being like the hardest thing you've ever done, like how hard was it to start your grow and do your grow and cure and get to your product that you could use as medicine?
Here's a great way to describe that.
Yeah.
So you know how people do home brews, right?
Yeah.
Some people pretty good at it, right? People not so much. Maybe they both will get you drunk in the end, but one of them's
Moonshine.
so it's as easy as putting a seed in the ground and watching it grow outside, not doing anything to it, not doing nothing. Versus thousands of dollars of equipment inside your basement that one thing fails, now you've lost everything.
Yeah.
So it's not what you want to get out, put into it. You're gonna get
Sure.
Absolutely.
I think the learning curve, it fluctuated sometimes.
Okay.
Some months I was like killing it, and then all of a sudden it was like, what the hell's going on now? Why is this drop down, or why is this temperature like this? You know, then you figure it out, and then you're okay for a while. The app, I had a problem with the app, you know, trying to get that through my head, you know.
How great that you have this community to fall back onto and to run things through.
Yeah.
And what is this app that you mentioned, Joan?
The app that for the AC.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
they'll
So
kind
you
of
can look at your phone and look at where your humidity is and your temperature is.
Okay.
Your fan, your
The
light.
AC Infinity controller offers full automated control from your phone. With depending on the controller type, you can get to it from anywhere in the world as long as you have an internet connection. They make out ones that are Bluetooth capable, so you can just do it if you're within 30 feet of it as well. So that's why I like those, because you can set it to do certain things. I still watch it. I still watch my grow like crazy.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always like to talk about at the growers meetups is that growing cannabis can be as complicated or as easy as you want it to.
Sure.
Kind of like what Chad was saying. It's as simple as putting a seed in the ground out in the dirt outside and letting it go. Or you can have a full-on hydroponic setup where you are measuring and making sure that even the water running off of your plants is coming out to what you want it to be and going that far, And for me, I would say I'm a lazy grower. I use super soil, so I can just water my plants. I make sure that the water is relatively close to a pH that I want it to. But otherwise, it's kind of set it and forget it in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It sounds like it's the Tesla of of home grows, maybe.
Yeah, like the AC Infinity controllers. I mean, they're great. They're really great. But really, all you really need is a medium, some seeds, some good genetics, right? The better the genetics are, the better your outcome is going to be. And bag seeds are great. You can learn on bag seeds, and it might grow you something really nice. It might not, and it might herm out, and it might contaminate your tent. You don't know. And there are certain pathogens that can pass even in germplasm or even in seeds. And things like hoplite and viroid can be passed in cuttings. It can be passed in germplasm. That's another reason why testing is so important.
Sure.
Is making sure that your plants are not carrying any of those communicable diseases that are very detrimental very, very detrimental
Okay.
to cannabis overall. So,
Okay, I've never heard of that. So
yeah,
thank you.
HLV
Yeah.
is a very real thing, and it is very, very bad because your plants will appear to be just fine, and then one day they just sort of fall over, and they start flopping and they start dying, and you're like, what's going on?
It's like,
And it's nothing you've done, and you're testing all of your stuff, you're checking your pH, you're looking at all of any variable that you have control over, and it was a virus in the plant or a viroid in the
okay,
plant that
okay.
caused it. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say there's a range of, if you're thinking about starting to grow for yourself, there's a range of like how much you can invest in it and, how you can go about it. Because I hope that it doesn't feel intimidating to people and that they really do take it on as kind of like this labor of love. Like, I'm growing my own medicine. Like, how dope is that, you guys? That's awesome.
And I was overthinking it for a while. I mean, really overthinking it. And then like Phil would like walk me back off the edge. You're overthinking it. Just, think of it as a tomato plant, just grow it.
Yeah.
And then I took the pressure off of myself.
Sure.
So I was really trying to analyze every little thing about it.
Sure.
And I wasn't having fun then. Then I was really stressing out. So then once I let some of that go, then I started really enjoying it.
Yeah. Hopefully cannabis helped with some of that too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Good. We haven't talked much about your consumption pattern. Would you?
Sure.
Tell me about it.
Frequent.
Yeah.
So I use cannabis to help maintain a control over my anxiety levels, typically speaking. I'm usually pretty mellow and pretty even keeled. I mean, I don't think anybody in this room other than Jamie has ever seen me angry at all. Which
it's true.
which is an interesting thing to me because I was very, very angry in my youth, and up until the point where I rediscovered cannabis again, and whenever I would consume alcohol, I would end up causing all kinds of chaos.
For sure.
I mean, there was never a dull moment. I was the coolest guy I knew.
Right.
And the funnest and the funniest.
Right.
And that got me hit in the mouth a lot. And so I'm really happy I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
My consumption pattern, though, to answer the question directly, my consumption pattern, I smoke anywhere between 2 to 3 grams a day of flower if I'm smoking flower. Otherwise, a third of a gram of concentrate of really good solventless live rosin.
Okay. Do you use them interchangeably, or like do you use them in like certain situations, or?
Depending on what it is, things like a Jack Herrera or a train wreck, I'm going to do that during the day. I'm going to do that where I have something that I'm going to go do and I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Those are a little bit more uplifting for me, both mentally and physically.
Same.
And but if I'm going with more of that beta carophylline profile, I save those for the evening time. If it's that with the limonene, myrcene, carophylline, that trifecta, that's usually something I'll use for creative time, where I'm playing my guitar, or doing some writing, or doing something else for my day job. So
okay.
I'll often do that in the evenings. I'm not doing it on the clock at my day job.
Yeah, right. Jamie talked about when she was on my show that consuming cannabis really helped her be a better partner. Yeah. And it's common knowledge, Jamie. Anyone can go see it on YouTube. So I'm bringing it up. Does that help you?
Me being a better
in that situation.
It does.
Yeah.
It makes me a better person all around.
Yeah, same. And
I offer much more grace to myself and to those around me.
Totally.
And it sort of melts away a little bit of that ego.
Yeah.
Not all of it. It had a lot of years of practice, so that's a lot of stuff to melt away. But I'm getting there.
Yeah, Jude, you are so there. You are so there, dude. Yeah, totally relatable for me. I'm not an everyday consumer, but I can tell, I consume on my days off mostly, or like after work, but I can tell if I haven't consumed in a couple of days that anxiety and that irritability kind of starts to bubble up, and it's like, you need some weed. So yeah, totally relatable.
Excellent.
let's talk a little bit about the Minnesota Craft Cannabis Guild. Please, if
Yay.
you will, tell me what that is and how you are involved.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Craft Cannabis Guild is something that myself and a few other people got together, started discussing late last fall, and put into action at the beginning of this year. We are an organization that is we exist to promote the excellence of craft cannabis in the state of Minnesota through advocacy, connection, and education. Those three things are pillars to how we can achieve craft cannabis from home growers and caregivers and micro businesses across the state. There are a lot of folks at the Capitol that are lobbying on behalf of much larger cannabis organizations.
Agreed.
And they have the clout to do that, and that's wonderful. I'm glad. And good for them. It's gotten cannabis to where it is today in Minnesota. That and a lot of other efforts, probably way more than we can even list. But there's nobody there for the home growers, for the caregivers, and for the micro business license holders. And that's a very large deficiency that we think can't really exist. And it makes me nervous for the state, and nervous in terms of being able to continue to grow cannabis at home. It is currently a part of our law that we can, and I want to keep it that way.
Okay.
and I want to not only preserve the existing rights that we have been, I don't want to say we've been granted, that we are inalienable rights that we've always had to cultivate this plant. I want to make sure that we can still do that.
Okay.
And in fact, even enhance the particular areas of the law now that are impactful to home grow caregiver micro license holders.
Okay. Identify some of those for me.
Some of the areas.
Yeah.
One of the areas that I think that's going to be very important would be to remove the arbitrary plant count from home growers. An arbitrary number of 8 was assigned because it was less than this state, but more than that one who had already legalized. So they kind of split the difference. There's no reason to limit it to 8 plants. I mean, it's
not true prohibition.
Correct, right? It's still prohibitive, and we say legalization, and really I feel it's been more of a commoditization of cannabis. We've made it into a commodity product that is heavily regulated. If it were legal, really legal, we wouldn't have anything to worry about. We'd just be like, all right, cool, let's go do this.
Right.
But we still have to worry about certain things.
I'm glad that you're thinking about that, because I think there is a real concern for the state and growing the gray market and allowing that small business person or that home grower to be able to express and to share their medicine with people. I think that it's really important to have those things, like, this community being one of them, and the ability to grow at home is essential for people. And I love to see how fired up people are about it. I tried it once and got waylaid, so maybe I'll give it another run. I watched Michael Ford through his whole grow, and just like how excited he was through that, right, Joan? Yeah.
It was great.
It was. It's just like, it was like a kid in a candy store. He just was like so excited about it, and he was like always there and like watering them, and it's just really, it's beautiful.
I saw him at over the weekend, and he had a jar with his finished product in it. I was like, oh, that's amazing.
How did it smell?
It smelled great.
I believe it.
It looked great.
Yeah.
Like the appearance was solid. The trichome covered was very, very good. So
that's dope.
If I were to run it through that assessment protocol.
Okay, cool.
Usually takes me about an hour and a half to do a full assessment on a particular sample if I'm doing it right. I try to make sure I'm in the same spot around the same time with the same ambient temperature. I mean, you eliminate as many of the variables as you can. So that way my jar pop is always going to be a jar pop from this far away with minimal wind because I'm inside, and the ambient temperature is about 73 degrees. That way I know that the cannabis isn't off-gassing in the jar a lot more because it's 80 degrees and it's been sitting, or it's been in the sun. A lot of times people carry it in bags in their pockets, and I'm just, oh God, just destroying all of your terpenes.
Right.
You're destroying it.
Yeah.
But it goes with the territory, right?
Well, I think maybe people don't know that. You know what I mean?
Probably
so
it.
It's to have that education out there is great.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we all have to learn or unlearn or relearn.
Exactly.
Because of all of this, all of the prohibition, you know, and getting out of that and getting into this new phase is it's very exciting. Very, very exciting.
For sure. And through that process, I hope that people always keep an open mind to knowing that there's so many other things that they can try through cannabis. Again, from a harm reduction standpoint, so maybe not smoking as much, but maybe doing other things that can still give them their desired effect without inhaling so much cannabis, which is fine. I enjoy smoking very much.
Yeah.
I love the flavor of it. I love getting that immediate effect. And I often will do a consumable and then maybe have a little smoke, until that consumable will kind of kick in so that I'm there, you know?
Jumpstart it.
Yeah,
right?
Jumpstart. Exactly. I love that.
Absolutely. There's so many consumption modalities too.
There is.
And, the topicals get overlooked.
Yeah.
Often. And topicals are some of the best products.
Oh my gosh,
for
yes.
skincare, for taking care of anything that you might have.
For
Cuts, scrapes, bruises. I mean, put some THC lotion on there.
100%. And just for like pain relief and like muscle, like restoration after like if people exercise or whatever to get that restorative factor back.
Yeah.
Actually, the topical that you carry here in the store is one of my favorites.
Oh, our balm?
Yeah, it's the kind that comes in a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that shit.
It's our beeswax balm.
Yeah, it is such a good product. I have recommended it so many times to people, so I hope that helped.
Thank you. That's awesome. I used to use that all the time. And I don't have the skin condition anymore that I used to use it on because I used it enough to get rid of it. So
right.
I had some eczema on my palm of my hand, and so I would just rub that in, and it goes away. So yeah.
Dope. So what is the guild now going to do? Like, what's going to be their role in the community? Talk to me about that.
Well, hopefully, how I really envision this happening is that the guild will become a point of like a centrifuge, a centrifugal point for home growers and caregivers and micro license holders to find and share information.
Okay.
I plan to have a repository available to everyone who's a member of the guild in an open source format. All that we do here at our growers meetups is all open source. We're all sharing information to learn from one another, to leapfrog off of each other. And part of the conversations that Bob at Canajoy and I were having originally about all of this was, wouldn't this be cool if we had growers that could get together and discuss challenges and successes and leapfrog from each other? And then it morphed into, wouldn't it be great if we had something at a state level that could achieve that same thing? And we could unite folks who are growing all across the state and kind of stitch it all together and have a big swarm of small fish that looks like a shark swimming next to the sharks.
Nice.
Out there. Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea for it. And the ethos behind it is that connection and education and advocacy piece that is so needed. And with the licensing data coming out and hearing that the majority of the licenses that have been applied for at this point are coming from out of state.
I heard that.
Is so disheartening.
So disheartening.
Completely disheartening.
Yeah.
And that it just ignited me even farther.
Yeah.
And makes me want to really jumpstart this now.
Yeah.
And get it out in front of people and get that advocacy piece supercharged. and get in front of our legislators and get in front of the OCM
For sure.
and be able to help them do better with craft cannabis and with small operations.
Yeah.
So, and if the bigger operations can learn more about quality, and if I can have a better tasting Budweiser that costs me about the same, heck yeah, I would absolutely want that.
Right.
So let's share that information with those folks too.
Well, and I think that they always touted the bill too as like for Minnesota, like they were going to support all these, local brands and local growers and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, now you have to stand on that, So I love the idea of gathering this community, even just for having that political pressure available too.
Yeah.
That's great.
Absolutely. And we're going to be actually at the state fair.
Okay.
We have a booth that we're sharing with the MCGCIC.
Awesome.
And I'm very excited about this. And so the Craft Cannabis Guild will be there every day at the fair. We will be represented by a myriad of people across the industry, yourself included.
Yay!
Thank you so much for that.
Yes, I'm super excited.
And we'll be just doing small educational seminars at those typical 11 and 2 slots in the education building. We'll be talking about the guild. The co-op will be talking about the co-op. There'll be a lot of cannabis going on in the education building.
Awesome. As it should be, finally, right?
Yeah.
How do you differentiate yourself between the co-op, the guild and the co-op? How are they different?
The co-op, they are set up in a way that is totally different from our organization. Our organization is more this grassroots advocacy level that we're really getting down into the home growers, more of a one-on-one, and versus having a large organization of businesses that are working together.
Yeah.
This is more about individual members and hopefully getting sponsorships from some of these other businesses.
Yeah, right.
So that way we can get this message out and get better quality meds in the hands of the people that need it, and do so in a way that is least impactful to our environment. Home growers are fully capable of hitting that triple bottom line.
Oh yeah.
In a way that commodity growers will never be able to ascertain, because it costs too much. It costs too much to hit the triple bottom line in an effective way.
Right.
Especially whenever you're cultivating something indoors, and again, it's only cultivated indoors because of prohibition. And if we learned about which cultivars did best in our biome, then we'd be able to have better quality cannabis grown outdoors. Even in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And that, is, it comes down to the morphology of the plant and how well it can do.
Right.
And then that leads into, kind of like wine, again, with the similes to wine. They, in the wine communities, they have appellations of origin. It's very common. Champagne only comes from the Champagne region of France. That is absolutely the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise it's sparkling wine, and that's great. And that really comes down to terroir, and that's something I am vastly and deeply interested in, is the idea that the soil, the sun, the placement of where you are on the earth, and the community that you are in has an impact on your final product.
Yeah.
And that's where terroir comes into play, and terroir is directly related to appellations of origin.
Mm-hmm.
And so another thing that I would love to advocate for at the state level is that appellation of origin, being able to say, this is Red River Valley Northern Lights. You will not get Northern Lights that smells or tastes like this anywhere else in the world. You can only get it here from this farm, or these collections of farms that are in this appellation, and that is codified in law.
Yeah.
So and that's something I'm oddly interested in, and I don't know why it speaks to me so much, but it does.
Well, I get it though. I mean, I am a huge consumer of Molly from MJ Haberdashery's medicine. She grows outdoors. I mean, you can taste the earth and the sunshine in her weed, I feel like, you know, so that's beautiful to me. And whenever I talk to people about growing and I was like, are you growing outside? And they're like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like there's so many variables. It's like, what? There's just as many variables indoors too. You just kind of have to like switch your mindset a little bit and just really become more of like a farmer. Like, you know, she's a real farmer.
Yeah.
So
it was inspiring for me, and I grew outdoor this summer.
Okay,
I have
cool.
2 plants that are outdoor girls this year.
Awesome.
They're doing amazing.
Good.
And so far, knock on wood,
Yeah.
I've been able to stave off the infestations that are typical with outdoor plants.
Yeah.
From a bug perspective and a pest perspective.
Yeah.
I use Lost Coast plant therapy religiously. It was introduced to that product at Cannabis actually last year in Humboldt County.
Okay. Cool.
Somebody gave me a sample of it, and I was like, "What is this?" And oh, it's a foliar spray. That's cool. And I managed to bring it back home with me on the airplane because it was in a small,
nice.
less than 3
less
ounce
than 3
bottle.
ounces. Yeah, yeah.
And it was super concentrated, so it made 2 gallons of actual foliar spray.
Okay.
And so I've been spraying my 2 plants with that, and it has kept all of the pests off of my girls. So yeah. Anyway.
So you can really speak to the difference between growing in your tent versus growing outside. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What do you like better? Do you like probably aspects of both, maybe?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like asking what's your favorite cultivar of cannabis. Well, it depends on what the flavor profile and the aroma profile is, right? If it's a sweet one, I like this. If it's a fruity one, I like that. If it's this. Indoor and outdoor growing. Indoor has its challenges and its rewards as well.
Mm-hmm.
Outdoor, I much prefer outdoor product for sure.
Yes.
I think that the sunlight that these plants receive is directly impactful to the aroma and flavor profile of that particular plant.
Yeah.
An interesting thing I learned in the Ganjier program is that it's actually predominantly the trichomes are there to help protect the leaf surface from heat. So we're smoking sunscreen.
Yes.
That is the most amazing thing to me. We are smoking sunscreen and chemical warfare from a plant that is trying to attract or repel things in nature to make it succeed in life. And that is just the coolest thing.
The topic of cannabis is just so vast. Like cannabis as the plant, how to grow it, how it works in your body. Like there's just so much we still have to learn about it.
Yeah.
And I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to learn from you. I appreciate that so much.
Likewise. I learn a lot from you and from everyone in the community.
Yeah,
that's the coolest part.
For sure.
We all get to leapfrog from each other.
Where do you, for your home grow community, what kind of resources do you use to help them, to guide them that are tangible already? I know you're building one now.
Yeah. Existing tangible things. Of course, these growers meetups where we are meeting face to face is a very large factor in that. The next step would be our Facebook group.
Okay.
Our Facebook group is filled with again wide and deep membership. The folks who are on that group have vastly different levels of skill and experience.
Okay.
And so I have folks who have grown at very large commercial scale who will answer questions from somebody who has never grown cannabis at all before.
Gotcha.
And kind of vice versa as well. You know, if it's something that, person X who has more experience in growing or doing something, and then somebody asks a question about something else, it's kind of a cool community in that aspect. Because not only are we talking about cannabis and can help each other with that stuff, but our life experiences in general can help each other really form a more cohesive bond.
That's awesome.
And really build up that community.
Yeah.
There's an idea that I have is that ultimately this group of folks are going to be able to share cuttings, to be able to share their genetics between each other. If I'm growing just a banger Blue Dream at home, then I want to be able to share cuts of that with my fellow growers.
Yes.
So that way, if my crop gets pests, or if I get something that goes wrong on it, and you know, one of my friends here has it, I can reach out and be like, Chad, can I get a cut of that blue dream again? Because I killed him.
Yeah, right. So they pick up the reins, right?
Right.
Yeah,
and vice versa. You know, if I've got, you know, if he's got a great train wreck that he's growing, then I can take cuttings of that and preserve that. So that way, if anything bad happens for his grow, then we have like an insurance policy, so to speak, across each one. And ultimately, really, what I want to do with our home growers group is sort of tie into the caregivers as well. Start putting together not necessarily a database, but a bulletin board where I have a thing on the wall where I have grower X, and literally grower X is growing train wreck.
Right.
And then patients can come in and be like, I've been looking for somebody that grows that particular cultivar.
Because I know that's what works for me.
Right.
Yeah.
How do I reach out to them? How can I? And at that point, I would, you know, be able to take their information and pass it on.
Okay.
Sort of as a quasi database for people to do that, because I don't know how folks are going to be able to, you know, patients are going to be able to find somebody who can grow, who is going to grow in a way that is, I want folks who are going to be a part of that program to know that they're getting good meds.
Right.
And if they're going through our growers group or our growers meetup, generally speaking, we are all using good practices.
Yeah.
There isn't a person in here that is doing anything that is outwardly, you know, detrimental to the end result of their plants and and to the end result of that particular product. So yeah, it's kind of a weird, like almost a vetting process, if you will.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I want to ask you about something too, because I had heard mention when someone was talking about the guild a while back that you would almost give like a stamp of approval on certain products that had been vetted, and like you knew they were good. And so, you know, you could refer people to this if they were looking for a specific edible or whatever it may be, that they would be able to kind of like have the guild stamp of approval on it. And I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it. So that's part of the plan then?
Potentially.
Okay.
You know, that's more of a business level or retail level.
Sure.
And it's kind of falling outside of the scope of what our, as we're morphing and transitioning.
Okay.
And learning and growing and seeing what the organization is becoming.
Yeah.
A lot of it is more now getting centered around the home grower and preserving that more than anything else.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
I think we're galvanizing strongly around that, and then providing that education piece, getting people to understand what cannabis is, what it isn't, what it can do, what it can't do,
right,
and just generally trying to help people understand all of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you were saying, there's so many topics to talk about in cannabis. It's endless.
Yeah. My favorite part is that you're promoting really what's happening here in Minnesota, because I just, you know, like so many people have sourced their weed from Cali all this time. And it's like, well, I appreciate that you've gone out there and you've vetted whoever you got this from, or you think they're the best grower or whatever the case may be. But like, I still don't know that person. So it's nice to like call up Jude or text Jude or whoever it may be and be like, hey, I'm running a little low on my meds this week. You know, what do you got? You know, so I love that. I love the promotion of our state, and I'm happy to hear that you're really thinking about legislatively where we need to go and how we preserve that.
Yeah.
I think sometimes not everyone thinks about that, even if they're an everyday user, and I think it's really important. I mean, we have to protect what legally we've been given. As horrible as that sounds to say that, but you know, we have to protect those and even enhance, as the word that you use. So thank you for that work. Thank you to the guild very much. I'm super impressed with the four of you, Bob, Ghislaine, Sarah. I think that you're all incredible people doing great things for this industry, and I just want to thank you for that work.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you've done as well.
Yeah, thanks.
You know, it's important to get the word out there.
Yeah.
And you've been at it and consistent. And
you know, there's a lot that I don't know about cannabis, and I'll be the first person to say that, you know, and so for me, it is sitting down with people and getting those opportunities to learn from other people and, just be able to, like this guy said back here, to finally be able to talk about it, and like people are coming out of the closet. When I look around this room, I'm like, wow, that person smokes weed. Okay, cool. And just like keeping an open mind about cannabis, because I think not everyone does. Of course, we do this guy's laughing at me. We do as everyday users.
Yeah.
But I think, there are those people, I'm a professional, so it was really difficult for me to kind of come out of that closet.
Come out of that green closet.
Yeah, yeah. That was scary. And like when I had the cannabis nurses on before, I'm like, do you guys mind talking about your consumption? Like, yeah, that's normal. We talk about that shit all the time. I'm like, okay, well, we're kind of new here, so we might not be as open about it, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So yeah.
Nice.
Please tell my audience where they can find you, what you have upcoming next.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can find us at 1919 2nd Avenue South.
So House of Oilworks.
Yeah, House of Oilworks in downtown Anoka.
Thank you.
1919 South 2nd Avenue.
Perfect.
That's where our current location is.
Okay.
I'm here typically the first and third Wednesdays doing the growers get together.
Okay.
You can find me on Facebook or find this group on Facebook at the Anoka Area Home Growers. You can find information about the Minnesota Craft Cannabis Guild at mnccg.com. The site is live. You can sign up to get our newsletter at this point, and that's about it.
Okay.
But that's where the repository is going to be for the MNCCG.
Awesome.
And if you're interested in Ganjier at all, I am always happy to discuss that. And that can be reached at ganjier.com. And otherwise, just reach out to me directly, and I'll be happy to talk your ear off about it.
As any Ganjier would.
Exactly.
Well, do you ever see the Ganjier program like expanding out? Like, will they ever let it leave Humboldt, do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess with the step one, that's kind of opening it up a bit.
Right now, we are worldwide. We have Ganjier in Germany, in the Netherlands, in New Zealand, in Canada, in the United States. Minnesota has the second highest concentration of certified Ganjier outside of the state of Minnesota, outside of the state of California.
Yeah, I believe that 100%.
We just had 2 more added to our ranks over the weekend, and I will let them.
Oh shoot!
I will let them share their thunder.
Okay.
But we did add 2 more.
That's awesome.
To our ranks. So.
That's awesome. I again appreciate the knowledge that you guys hold, and I am very hold you in high regard and in high esteem, for the knowledge that you have about cannabis. So
fantastic.
You guys will also, you mentioned the guild will be at the state fair. So do you know the details on where people can find you there?
We are in the education building. We are sharing a booth space with the MCGCIC. I don't know the exact booth number.
Okay, that's okay.
It is the education building. So partially air conditioned, sort of quasi air conditioned. So in between food on a stick and sweating your balls off.
Right.
Close
to a bathroom too, Gislin told me. So that's always important.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get a lot of foot traffic there. So
super cool. Well, I'm really excited to be part of the panel coming up and honored to be asked, honestly. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So that concludes do you have any final thoughts?
No, just happy growing.
Yeah,
right?
happy growing. Smoke more weed, man. Yeah. So everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. So I want to talk to you about what you're doing professionally with the psilocybin community. Tell me about your brand and what you do for people.
Sure. Well, I don't do a whole lot right now.
Well, tell everyone who you are first.
Okay. Well, hello. I'm Jamie Jude.
Hi, Jamie.
I am owner of House of Oilworks. Also have an Amanita brand, which is called Urban Decay.
Yes, you do.
And things will probably start shifting over into that realm a little bit more.
Okay.
But then I've just been in education in psilocybin and microdosing for the last 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still in school, but I'm kind of like getting some momentum.
Still in school. You've gone through like 3 different rigorous programs, I feel like.
I have, yes.
You're always like, I can't talk right now. I have to go do homework. I gotta go.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and it is pretty intense, but
Yeah.
I'll have that until the end of the year. But I'm
Yeah.
also really, my modality that I've kind of chosen is microdosing and really helping people deepen. There's a lot of people microdosing right now,
Yes.
and there is education that is really goes around microdosing, and people can do it, but when you really want to bring the ritual aspect to it and really deepen what you're trying to achieve with microdosing,
Right.
help is always really important.
Yeah, and I think thank you for saying that. And I recently reached out to you and to someone else in the community that's doing work with psilocybins, because I've been microdosing here and there, getting really good effects, but I'm like, there's still blocks. I can still feel blocks that I can't get past, and I need to break through those things, and I need to do it with more intention.
Yeah.
So, the things that I have gleaned from what I've been doing just kind of willy nilly, like it's been like, holy shit, like stuff from my past or like things from like childhood, even sometimes I'll be like, oh shit, that's how I've been supposed to do that all this time? Like, what? I'm almost 50 years old. Like,
Yeah, but that is really important because when you come to it and you start microdosing and these things start coming up, most of us don't know what to do with those things. And that integration I mean, that's what it's called. It's like you get these insights, and then what you do with them is extremely important. And if you don't work through some of that, it can be spiritual bypassing, which can have this rebound effect.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, a therapist can maybe help you through some of that stuff, but it's like with plant medicine, it just clicks. It just clicks. I don't even know how to like describe it any better than that. It's just like something will come into your mind and you'd be like, holy shit, that had never even dawned on me, like that's how that fits together. Or oh wow, like that's maybe why I did it that way, or this is why I've been, having this picking this same relationship over and over again,
Yeah.
So I mean, I think there's got to be something to having that setting and that intention
Yes.
and
And the
being
integration of it.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
just
that's the biggest part.
right.
Biggest part, hands
Yeah.
down.
And I think that mostly it can be done with microdosing,
Mhm.
but I think sometimes those bigger trips are needed too, because I feel like that's kind of maybe where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Like microdosing has been working well, and I've been like really learning some good things about myself, but like I'm getting to the point where it's like, okay, I see these huge blocks and I know they're there and I still can't get past them.
Yeah.
So what do I got to do?
And that's really what psilocybin can do, is it can come in and open doors or
Right.
unlock doors that don't always open. Some people can get a lot from microdosing. And, everyone is on their own journey.
Yeah.
And what I really love about microdosing is that for people who are looking for natural ways of healing, it's not a big, huge dose.
Yeah.
So because it's sub-perceptual and you can really kind of go about your day and do what you need to do, it creates that bond with the medicine, and it holds you, and you develop and you establish that relationship just like with cannabis, right?
Exactly.
The more you work with her, the more you guys, you both trust each other, and you learn about each other, and so with the microdosing, because it's so you lose sort of, who you are in bigger doses for a moment. It's making that connection. It's like the handshake. It's the hug, right?
Yeah.
For you, it'd be a really nice hug.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's a hug. And then people always, they start to understand it, and then they want to dig a little bit deeper, and they want to go a little deeper. And so, in my opinion, microdosing can help you create that relationship, and then you start to explore that relationship, and then you go on these bigger journeys, and maybe you muddle through some stuff, and then the microdosing is there to support you afterwards.
Sure.
Too.
I've often as of recently, started when I started microdosing and like learning integrating.
Yeah.
Started like recommending it to other people or mentioning it to other people. Like, yeah, I really love cannabis. That plays a role in my life, but like I've been doing microdosing and that's been actually pretty incredible. People are like their first reaction is like, oh my God, I could never do that, you
Right.
know? And I'm like, it's just a microdose.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think people understand that, you know, there's a like a form and a formula way to take that plant medicine where it doesn't have to be scary or feel scary. And I think that if you're working with a clinician like you
Mm-hmm.
or someone else that's, you know, doing beneficial to people.
Yeah.
So thank you for that work.
I'm so excited to be doing the work. I'm starting a consulting business,
Yeah.
so it's it's out there right now, but it's just not doing anything. But
Yeah.
I'll give a plug for it.
Yes, please do.
It's soulgrove.net.
Okay. Nice.
But if you do go out there, I don't have it really fully complete.
Okay.
I'm hoping to have it complete within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And it's really just about helping people deepen their microdosing. So,
Awesome.
And it's going to have education. I'm going to have education. I'm going to start doing some classes on it.
Awesome.
I know I've been saying that for quite some time,
Well,
but
you've been doing classes though. Give yourself some
I've
credit.
been doing
Yes.
the Amanita
Thank
classes.
You. Yeah.
Yes. And that's something that I am really focused on right now in the Urban Decay area, just because, like, Blue Diamond, right? I mean, the shrooms. And
Yep.
so I firmly believe that informed consent is critical when we are navigating these spaces where people are in altered states, and really going to be in altered states, right? So I brought the Amanita because I really resonate with Amanita.
Okay.
And I think that everyone should have an opportunity to. Amanita it's local. You can get
Forage,
it here. You can
right?
forage it here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the prime space, so it's, what do they call it? A land. Oh, I forgot the name.
Oh,
But it's
shoot.
something that's like local, and it's
Okay.
cannabis and just anything that you find. But it's a land genre. I'm not sure what it
Okay.
is. I don't know. I'm trying to
Gabe
be
said it. Was it the Appalachian something?
No, it's just a land something. It's like kind of like a what you would call something that is local to your
Okay. Oh shit.
ecosystem.
Yeah. What is the name for that? Yeah.
Right. So it's not like for a mushroom. It's not for cannabis,
Yeah.
but it's just kind of this ecological
Biome.
little biome. And they're here, and we live here, so I think that's something that we all resonate with. And what I do really love about the Amanitas is that they allow you to go internally, and psilocybin connects you to the outside world.
Okay,
to
so
Mother Earth.
explain that, piece that out a little bit for people that might not know about Amanita and about psilocybin. So what is Amanita?
So Amanita muscaria is a toxic mushroom. Right now it's not FDA approved. It's not illegal to sell. So that's where a lot of these products are just getting on the market. They're shoving Amanita in there.
Gotcha.
But I offer a tincture, and it's something that is bioavailable. It's not covered in sugars. It's not flashy.
Right.
But it's ceremoniously made and ritually used. And I love Amanita because for me, it's a really nice nervous system regulator.
Okay.
It allows me to be in touch with me. Sometimes, like for psilocybin, you're really in touch with your peers and the earth and nature, and it's all very beautiful.
Right.
But then with Amanita, she really allows you to go internally and explore that and be held during that.
Dope.
But unlike psilocybin, I don't condone high doses of Amanita.
Right.
That is all really just microdosing. Amanita is used for things like sleep, better sleep. It puts you in the REM state a lot longer. Migraines, right? I've had some mouth issues it's kept at bay. So like oral health,
Okay.
anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just like cannabis, then it's important to know where your medicine is sourced from.
Yes.
It's important if you're just starting out to have someone that can guide you through that. So some
Yes.
type of a clinician that's well educated and has experience with these products. And, you know, the non-judgmental space to develop your own relationship with this plant medicine.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yay, big ups for the big three.
Big ups.
So, you are the owner of House of Oilworks.
Yep.
You have the Amanita products, Urban Decay.
Yep.
Will there be any other products that you'll be adding to that?
So we do have Blue Lotus
Okay.
as well right now. And
Okay.
Blue Lotus is just sort of a social tonic. It is an Egyptian flower, much like a lotus flower. And a lot of people will use it in replacement of alcohol.
Okay.
I would like to get some smoke in because it's supposed to be really, it complements cannabis really nicely,
Okay.
especially at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
It's also a lucid dreamer.
Okay.
It's a grounder for meditation, so really great for pre-meditation sessions.
Okay.
And allows you to deepen and get into that meditative state. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So people can pick up those products here at House of Oilworks,
Yep.
and they can get some guidance on that.
Yep.
And then Soul Grove is going to be up and running soon
Yep.
because that's what we do.
Yes. Yes.
We're bosses, and we
Yes.
just keep carrying on.
Yes, because I do have a new product coming out.
Okay.
Too. It is a special release.
Okay.
I don't have any yet, but they are Halloween caramels.
Oh my gosh, that sounds incredible.
Yes.
Like definitely something I need to get a hold of.
Yes, I will have blood orange,
Ooh.
And they will be Halloween inspired.
Okay, okay.
Since we're in the Halloween capital of the world.
Yeah, right.
Yep, they're special editions, so they're just going to be here for a moment and
Okay.
then off to their new homes.
Oh
and,
shoot,
yeah.
I need to really make sure I get on that
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
And then I just want to announce to everyone that Jamie will be a regular part of our show.
Yay!
On a rotating basis, and we're hopefully thinking at least once a month. So when the show is live, people will be able to call in and ask her questions about plant medicine like amanita and blue lotus and psilocybin. So yeah,
I'm
thank
looking
you.
forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being our resource, our trusted resource. I really appreciate that.
Somebody needs to be.
Somebody needs to do it.
Yeah.
And you are the woman designed for that. So yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So that's it, everyone.
All right.
Conversation.
Mushroom events. Sorry to cut you off.
Any events?
So I am hosting Amanita. Right now I'm really focusing here. I just want people to be safe. So I'm going over and over. Every first Thursday of the month is an Amanita class here. I have some products to show, because people come in and they want to know what these products have, and we'll look at lab reports. We'll really deep dive into what the Amanita mushroom is and how people can use it and how they can help some of the things that they're looking for. It's just $10 at the door, so you don't need to get tickets. You can show up. It's every first Thursday of every month from 6 to 8 p.m.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I've actually been to that class.
Yes.
I
And
have
it's kind of
some
morphed
amanita.
a little bit.
Has it? Okay.
Well, yeah, like with the recall coming out, we have more and more people coming in here asking about it. So really just having some products to kind of show, here's ours, here's theirs, this is what to look for, this is what to not look for.
That's perfect. Yeah. People need that.
Yeah.
They need that guidance
Yeah.
because I think they are looking for answers and they just don't know where to go for a trusted resource. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, everyone,
you.
from Conversations with Push.
Woo!
Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And have a great night.
MBC. No relation to NBC.